Selah was not supposed to be there. The room was off-limits, cold, and filled with strange human machines and weapons. But the door was open, and she was so very thirsty. The alien girl stepped in carefully, her small purple feet making no sound. On the metal floor, her eyes scanned the shelves lined with tubes, bottles, and blinking lights. She didn't understand any of it. She just wanted something to drink, something to stop the burning in her throat. The air on this human military base was dry, and her species needed more moisture than humans did. She had been traveling with a peace delegation, but she had gotten lost in the corridors. They told her to wait in the guest lounge, but she had wandered off, and now, here she was, standing in front of a glowing blue bottle that looked like liquid sky. She reached out and grabbed it. The surface of the bottle felt cool and heavy. There were human letters on it, written in bold, red and yellow. She didn't know they meant warning. Highly experimental, do not ingest. Her fingers trembled as she twisted the cap. A small hiss escaped as the seal broke. Without a second thought, Selah lifted it to her lips and whapped him lifted it to her lips and drank. The liquid was smooth, slightly sweet, almost pleasant. For a moment, nothing happened. She took a second sip, larger this time, and then her knees buckled. Heat, sharp and sudden, rushed through her body. Her skin flushed with strange energy. Her heart started to race. She gasped and dropped the bottle, which shattered on the floor. Her breathing turned heavy. Her fingers dug into her arms, and she fell to her knees. Something was wrong. Very wrong. A low whimper escaped her lips. Her body felt like it was on fire. Not from pain, but from something else. Her senses exploded. Every sound echoed louder. Every breath felt deeper. And worst of all, she couldn't stop trembling at the far end of the hallway. Corporal Jason Marek had been walking past when he heard the sound of glass breaking. He turned sharply, his boots tapping against the floor as he followed the noise. His instincts told him it might be trouble when he reached the storage room. He froze. Inside on the floor was an alien girl curled up, shaking, sweating, and clearly in distress. She looked up at him with wide, glowing eyes, filled with confusion and something else. Desperation. He stepped closer, cautiously. "Are you okay?" he asked softly, not wanting to scare her. She opened her mouth to speak, but could barely get the words out. "I drank the blue one," she whispered. Jason's heart skipped a beat. The blue one? There was only one blue one in this. Base's eyes scanned the shattered bottle, and his stomach dropped. That wasn't water. That was the military-grade stimulant serums, something they were still testing. And only 4 trained soldiers. "Don't move," he said gently, kneeling beside her. But she was already shaking harder. Her hands reached toward him, her body leaning against his. She was warm, far too warm, and he could feel her heart pounding through her chest. She gripped his arm like it was the only thing keeping her alive. "Make it stop," she cried, voice cracking. "It burns." Inside, Jason tapped his communicator. "This is Corporal Marek, medical emergency in Storage Bay 7, he said quickly. She drank the experimental vial, the blue serum. The voice on the other end went silent for a moment. Then came the cold response. "Secure the subject. Do not let her leave. Help is on the way." But Jason didn't need orders to know she was in danger. And it wasn't just physical. The serum had a side effect. It amplified emotional and chemical responses, including arousal and bonding. No one had tested it on aliens. Selah clutched at his uniform, her eyes glassy and filled with tears. She didn't understand what was happening to her. He could see she was terrified. But something else in her gaze made his breath catch. She was looking at him like he was the only safe place in the world. And that scared him more than the serum itself. He wrapped his arms around her, supporting her weight as she leaned fully against him. "We're going to fix this," he whispered. even though he wasn't sure how. He could already hear footsteps in the hallway security, medic's command, but somehow, deep inside, he knew this moment had just changed everything. Not just for her, not just for him, but maybe for both their species. The bottle she shouldn't have touched had touched something far deeper than science could explain. Jason Marek had seen injuries before. He had seen blood, broken bones, and even panic attacks, but he had never seen anything like this. The alien girl lay in his arms, breathing fast, her body shaking in waves. Her skin was glowing slightly, her temperature rising beyond normal alien limits. Her eyes, once calm and curious, now burned with a strange mix of fear and desire. And all because she drank the one thing no one should ever touch, the serum known as HX9. Jason felt her grip tighten on his chest. She wasn't speaking in full words anymore, just short phrases. Breathy and desperate. Please, make it stop. Please, why can't I think? He gently laid her on the exam bed in the medical bay and grabbed a thermal scanner. Her vitals were unstable, heart rate too high, neural patterns erratic, blood pressure rising by the second, and her body responding as if it had been programmed for something entirely different. Like her instincts were no longer her own, the door slid open. Sergeant Reeve stepped inside, followed by 2 armored medics. They froze when they saw her. Reeve looked at Jason with alarm. You said she drank it. The HX9. Jason nodded, his face tense. She thought it was water. She was lost. She didn't know Reeve swore under his breath that serum isn't just a stimulant. Marek, it was designed to trigger emotional and chemical dominance in hostile targets. 1 drop can make a soldier 3 times more aggressive and hyper-aware, but in an alien body, we don't know what it could do. Jason turned back to the girl. Sayla. She whimpered softly, curling slightly toward his voice. The way she responded to him only him made the medics pause. Why is she acting like that? One of them asked. Reeve answered darkly. HX9 was meant to trigger pair bonding behavior to force loyalty. Even attraction in a human, it fades in hours, but in an alien with unknown instincts, it might imprint her to the first human she saw. Jason felt her fingers brush his wrist again. It wasn't random. She was reaching for him, choosing him. Even if she didn't understand why. Reeve stepped forward. We need to sedate her before it escalates. If she forms a full bond with you, it might become permanent, and that would be a political nightmare. Jason stepped between them. No, wait, she's scared. Confused. You can't just knock her out like she's an animal. Reeve stared at him. She's under the influence of a top-secret chemical. You're just a medic. Marek, don't make this personal. Jason didn't step back. He looked down at Sala, her glowing eyes focused only on him. Despite the others in the room, he saw the pain, the heat, the terror, but also trust for some reason. She trusted him more than anyone. I'm not making it personal, he said calmly. But she's not a threat. Let me talk to her. If we push too hard, we might make things worse. Reeve gritted his teeth, but gave a short nod. You have 5 minutes. The medic stepped back. Staying close, Jason sat beside the bed and took a slow breath. He leaned in gently. Sayla, it's okay. You're safe. I'm not going anywhere. Her breathing slowed, just slightly. Her hand found his again. She didn't speak, but her expression softened. Jason knew he had to keep her calm. Listen to me. You drank something dangerous. It's making your body feel strange, but it's not your fault. I'm here to help you through it. Her lips moved slowly. I feel wrong. Everything is loud, and you smell like calm. Jason blinked. That was the serum enhancing her senses, linking her to him in ways he didn't fully understand. I'll stay close, okay? He said. I won't leave from the corner. One medic whispered, this is not normal. She's sinking with his scent. Even his heartbeat. Reeve looked worried. If that serum bonds her to him permanently, we can't undo it. We need to contain her before it locks in. Jason ignored them. His focus was Sayla. Her face was flushed. Her breathing now in rhythm with his, she whispered again, "Don't let them take me away." His heart sank. He didn't want to lose her either. He didn't understand why, but he knew he couldn't hand her over like an object just then. The alarm blared across the base, a level 2 containment alert. Reeve tapped his earpiece. "They've triggered the protocol. She's now officially classified as unstable. They'll move her to quarantine in 30 minutes. Jason clenched his fists. 30 minutes. That's all he had to figure out how to stop the Sela. Looked up at him, her voice soft but full of meaning. "Why do I feel safe with you and no one else?" Jason didn't have the answer, but deep down, something in him whispered, because fate had chosen this moment for both of them, and whatever the serum had started, it was only the beginning. Jason Marek stood by Sela's side, heart beating hard inside his chest. She looked calmer now, but only because he was there. The slightest movement of his hand or shift in his tone made her react. She was watching him like a frightened animal watches the one person it trusts, and that was what scared him most. Outside the medical bay, military boots stomped down the hallway. Special science officers had arrived, holding secure black cases and scanning equipment. One of them, a pale man with a scar under his eye, stepped into the room and gave Jason a sharp look. "You're the one who found her?" he asked coldly. Jason nodded. "I'm Corporal Marek. Medical Division." She drank the serum by mistake. She didn't mean to. She was just looking for water. The man grunted. "My name is Dr. Haven. I'm from the Bioweapons Division, and that," he pointed at Sela, "is no longer just a medical case. It's a ticking time bomb." Jason looked at him, jaw clenched. "She's not a bomb. She's a person. She's scared and sick. And she needs help." Dr. Haven rolled his eyes. "You don't understand, Corporal. That Serum HX9I wasn't made for war. Not directly. It was made for psychological operations control. Manipulation, forced loyalty, chemical obedience." Jason felt a chill. "But it's illegal to test that on any sentient being without consent." Haven gave a thin smile. "And yet she drank it on her own, didn't she?" Jason didn't answer. His eyes shifted to Sela, who now sat quietly on the exam bed, eyes never leaving him. Her cheeks were still flushed. Her fingers kept clutching the hem of his sleeve. Like letting go would hurt. "She doesn't know what's happening to her," Jason said. "Is there an antidote?" Haven frowned. "There's no standard cure, but in humans, the effects fade in 24 to 36 hours. The problem is, we don't know what her species biology will do with it. It could bond permanently to her neural pathways. It could rewrite how she feels emotions, and," he added sharply, "it might lock her into thinking you are the only safe person in the universe." Jason looked at Sela again, that strange warmth in her gaze, trust, attachment, something more. It wasn't natural. It was chemical. "But she's intelligent. She realized something is wrong, won't she?" Haven shrugged. "If the bond forms before the chemicals fade, she may never know the difference. She'll believe what she feels is real, but it's not." Jason stepped back, disturbed. The room suddenly felt colder. Sela looked up at him. "Why are they staring at me?" she asked in a low whisper. "Why do I feel them as enemies?" Jason's heart ached. "It's the serum. It's changing your feelings, your body, even your thoughts, but it's not you, Sela, not the real you." She touched her chest. "I feel like I don't belong in my own skin, but you make it quieter." Haven walked over, pulling out a scanner. He pointed it at her head. The screen lit up with flashing symbols, "Just as I feared." Haven muttered. "Her frontal cortex is showing signs of chemical remapping. If this continues for another hour, the bond will be permanent." Jason looked sharply at him. "There has to be a way to stop it." Haven opened one of his black cases. "There's a prototype inhibitor, but it hasn't been tested. It could reverse the bonding effect or cause her brain to shut down." Jason felt torn. Give her the prototype and risk her life, or do nothing and let the serum control her forever. Then Sela spoke again. "Why are you afraid, Jason?" Her voice was softer now, almost tender. He looked at her. eyes filled with conflict because I don't want to lose you. Selah, not like this, not when. You don't even know if what you feel is real. She blinked slowly. Then let me choose, even if it's not real. I want to stay near you, Jason shook his head. That's not fair to you. You deserve real choices. Not ones forced by a mistake. Haven't stepped in. Time's up. Either we use the inhibitor now, or we lose any chance of undoing the effects, Jason. Look down at Selah. Her hand reached for his again, her fingers trembling. But steady, will it hurt? She asked. Looking at the injector, Jason nodded slowly. It might, but I'll be right here. I promise. She looked into his eyes and nodded. Jason took the injector from Haven's hand. His own finger shook as he pressed it to her neck. Small hiss. A flash of blue light, and it was Donna. Selah gasped, her body tensing, her eyes went wide. Then shut tightly as she curled up and began to tremble again. Jason caught her in his arms. She was shaking harder now, but slowly. Slowly. Her breathing began to calm. Her skin cooled, the flush faded from her face. Halvin stared at the scanner. She's stabilizing, no neural collapse. It worked, at least for now. Jason let out a shaky breath. Selah opened her eyes. This time, clear and aware. Jason. She whispered, I still feel something. But it's softer now, less like a fire, more like a memory. Jason smiled. Then maybe now. You're really free to choose. And Selah, finally understanding, nodded gently in his arms. The moment the serum's effect started to weaken, the base issued a red level lockdown, not because Selah was dangerous, but because they didn't know what she would become if left unchecked. Jason stayed beside her as metal shutters sealed every exit. Red lights blinked across the walls, alarms echoing down empty halls. A robotic voice repeated the same warning again and again. Containment protocol active. Subject must remain in secured zone. Jason looked at the alert on his wrist tablet. The order was clear. Do not allow Subject X, alien female affected by HX-9 to leave the medical unit under any condition. But Selah was no subject to him. She was a girl who had made one mistake. A girl who was terrified, shaking, and now clinging to his arm like he was her only light in the darkness. Selah sat on the edge of the bed, wrapped in a thermal blanket, her shoulders hunched. She whispered softly, why are they locking everything? I feel better now. The burning is gone. Jason knelt down beside her. They don't know if it's truly over. The serum changed your chemistry, they think. You might still be dangerous. Her eyes widened, full of sadness. But I'm not. I'm just me. I didn't ask for any of this. Jason nodded slowly. I know. But fear makes people do things they shouldn't. And right now, they're more afraid of what you might become than who you really are. Suddenly, the doors opened with a loud hiss. Sergeant Reeve stormed in with 3 soldiers behind him. Each one carried a stun rifle and a containment cuff. Reeve didn't waste time. She's under observation now. Command says she moves. We restrain. If she resists, we sedate. Jason stood up fast. No, she's stable now. The inhibitor worked. Her brain scans are normalizing. Reeve didn't even blink. I don't care what your scans say until command lifts the order. She's a walking threat to military safety. Selah stood slowly. She was barefoot, trembling slightly, but her face showed strength. I'm not going with you, she said softly. I won't hurt anyone, but I won't be caged. The soldiers stepped forward, weapons half raised. Jason held out his arms, blocking them. You'll have to go through me first. Reeve's eyes narrowed. You're protecting her now. She's an alien under chemical influence. This is not a love story. Marek. Jason didn't move. No, it's not about love. It's about doing what's right. She didn't break any laws. She made a mistake, and now you want to treat her like a monster. Reeve tapped his communicator. Command. This is Reeve. Corporal Marek is interfering with protocol, requesting clearance to override. There was a pause. Then a cold voice replied, approved. Sedate both, if necessary. Jason's heart sank. He turned to Selah. We have to move now before they take you away. She blinked. Where will we go? Jason glanced at the back door of the lab, the emergency exit still unlocked, but only for a few more minutes. Somewhere safe, but you have to trust me, she nodded. I already do. Jason grabbed her hand and pulled her behind him. The soldiers shouted, "Stop, right there." He didn't stop, they ran. Jason slammed the emergency button, and the back door hissed open. He and Selah slipped through, just as it sealed shut. Again alarms blared louder now. Subject has escaped, Niche lockdown level 3, Jason led her. Through the side corridors, he knew every shortcut, every blind spot in the surveillance system. Zilla kept pace. Breathing hard, her skin still glowed slightly under the hallway lights. But her steps were steady. Her mind was clearer than before. Why? Are you helping me? She asked again. Jason didn't look back, because you didn't deserve this, and because I couldn't live with myself if I let them lock you away like a mistake. She gripped his hand tighter. I don't feel like a mistake anymore. Not with you. They reached a hidden lift used by engineers. Jason keyed in his override code, and the door slid open as they descended into the base's lower maintenance level. Silence filled the space hill. Leaned against the wall, she looked at him. Her eyes still glowing softly, even now. I feel like I'm connected to you. Is that the serum, or something more? Jason sighed. I don't know, but I'd rather find the truth together without soldiers pointing guns at us. The lift stopped. They stepped out into darkness, lit only by flickering lights, a safe place for now. Jason turned to her. Tomorrow everything might change, but tonight we run, we hide, and maybe we heal. Selah gave him a small, tired smile. I'm not afraid anymore, not as long as you're with me. And for the first time in hours, Jason felt the same way. The air in the lower tunnels was damp, and heavy pipes hissed gently overhead as Jason and Selah walked deeper into the hidden maintenance levels beneath the base here. No cameras followed them, no patrols searched the shadows, only silence, broken by the distant hum of Mashnacella steps, slowed as they passed under a flickering light. Her breathing had calmed, but her senses were still on high alert. Every movement, every sound, she felt it all 10 times louder than before. Her body wasn't in pain anymore, but it was changing. Jason stopped near a stack of metal crates and gestured for her to sit. He opened a small emergency box and pulled out a ration bar, some water, and a med kit here. Eat something. You've been running on nothing but fear and chemicals. She nodded and took the water first. Her hands trembled slightly, but not from weakness, from something else. Jason, she whispered, my body feels different, not just the serum. It's like something inside me has woken up. Jason knelt beside her. You're still detoxing. It might just be a reaction. Oh, she shook her head. No, it's deeper. It's something my people don't talk about anymore, something ancient. Jason looked at her with quiet curiosity. What do you mean? Selah touched her chest, just over her heart. In my species' history, there was once a ritual, an instinct, a bond that formed only in moments of life and death, when fear, protection, and chemistry mixed together. It would awaken something primal, a connection that couldn't be broken. Jason blinked slowly. You think the serum triggered that? She nodded. I don't think. I know when I looked at you back in the lab, when I reached for you, it wasn't just because of the serum. It was my instinct, and it chose you. Jason sat back, his thoughts spinning. He had believed she was only reacting to the drug, but now if what she said was truth, this went beyond science. This was nature, rewritten by accident. Selah placed her hand gently on his. I'm not saying it to make you feel responsible. I know this wasn't your fault. But you need to understand. Something ancient inside me now sees you as mine, and I don't know how to shut it off. Jason's throat tightened. Selah, I don't want to control you. I don't want you to feel bound to me if it's not real. But it is real, she whispered. It feels more real than anything I've ever known, even if it began as a mistake. Suddenly, they both froze. A soft noise echoed behind them, a mechanical worry. Jason reached for his sidearm. Selah stood fast. Her eyes glowing faintly again from the shadows, emerged a drone small. Silent and scanning, Jason aimed and fired a single. Stun shot. The drone sparked and dropped to the floor with a thud. He cursed under his breath, "They've sent search units down here." "They're close." Sayla grabbed his wrist. "We can't keep running. We need to stop this end." Jason stared at her. "How?" "They see you as a threat. They want to study you." Keiju Sala's voice turned firm. "Then let's give them a choice they don't expect. Let's show them I'm more than their subject, and that you're more than just a medic." Jason saw the determination in her eyes. She wasn't the same frightened girl from before. She was stronger, sharper, awake in a way no one expected. He took a breath. "There's a hidden server room near the reactor. It connects to the base's central logs and medical research files. If we reach it, I can upload your data. Your stabilized readings prove you're not a danger anymore." Sayla nodded. "And I can record my own message. Let them hear my voice. Let them see I'm still me." Jason stood and helped her up as they walked through the dim tunnels. Sayla leaned slightly into his side, not because she was weak, but because some part of her had accepted the bond and found peace in it. Jason didn't push her away. He didn't fully understand what was happening between them, but he knew it was bigger than a mistake, bigger than fear. Something had awakened in both of them, and it wasn't going back to sleep. The door to the lower server room creaked open with a quiet hiss. Jason held his breath, checking both sides before stepping in. Sayla followed close behind, her body tense, her glowing eyes scanning every shadow. They didn't have much time. The base was on full lockdown. Drones were already searching the tunnels, and if any soldier spotted them, Sayla would be taken. Jason knew the risks, but he also knew this was the only way to save her. "This is it," he whispered. "Base command routes data through this hub. If I can access it, I can upload your brain scans. Show them you're stable, not a threat, not a weapon, not a project, just a person." Sayla nodded, her face serious. "And I'll send a message of my own. They need to hear my voice, not see just my blood under their microscopes." Jason approached the control panel, typing fast. His hands knew the codes, and within seconds, screens lit up around them. He connected the medical files, pulled Sayla's data, and began the transfer. Sayla stood in front of a nearby cam node. She took a slow breath and began to speak. "My name is Sayla, of the Valari people. I came here under peace. I drank the serum by accident, and I've been changed, but I am still me. And I'm choosing to stay with the one who showed me kindness when everyone else pointed a weapon." Jason paused at her words. She hadn't said his name, but her voice said everything. Soft, strong, clear. She continued. "The serum woke up an old part of my people, something lost for generations. A bond we thought was extinct. It chose him, not by logic, by instinct, and I accepted it." Jason's heart pounded as he worked, but her words echoed in his head. She had chosen him not because of a drug, but because when the world saw a threat, he saw a girl who needed help suddenly. The screen flashed red. Unauthorized access detected. Jason swore they're jamming the upload. "They know we're here." Sayla stepped beside him. "Then we stand together. No more running." The doors burst open before Jason could respond. Sergeant Reeve entered first, stun rifle raised behind him. 2 armed guards followed, faces unreadable. "Step away from the console, Merrick." Reeve barked. Now Jason didn't move. "You saw the files. She's stable. She's in control. You don't have to treat her like a danger anymore." Reeve's eyes narrowed. "That's not your call. You disobeyed orders. You stole classified access codes, and you put this entire base at risk for an alien girl who should have been quarantined." Sayla took a step forward. "I'm not a danger. I'm not a soldier or a weapon. I'm a living being. And I chose him because he saw me, not a mistake. Not a lab subject, just me." Reeve raised his weapon. "You're still under chemical influence. Your words mean nothing until command clears you." Sayla didn't flinch. Her eyes glowed brighter, her voice calm. "Then let command hear this with a single move." She reached out and placed her hand on Jason's chest. Her fingers glowed faintly as her body responded to the proximity. A soft wave of bioluminescent light flowed over her. Skin Jason held her hand tightly. "Not afraid, she chose me," Jason said aloud, "and I choose her too, not as a project, not as an experiment, as a partner. If you take her, you take me." Reeve hesitated. The guards behind him shifted, unsure before Reeve could speak again. The comlink on his shoulder crackled. A voice came through cold, an official Sergeant Reeve. "Stand down, this is Central Command. We have reviewed the live footage and medical data the subject has shown. Stability, autonomy, and no violent behavior. Detain neither of them. Repeat, stand down immediately." Reeve froze. He looked at Jason, then Sayla, then, with clenched fists, he lowered his weapon. "Fine. You win this round, but don't think this is over. The galaxy doesn't forget accidents like this." He turned sharply and stormed out. His guards following. Silence filled the room again. Sayla slowly exhaled, her body relaxing for the first time in hours. Jason looked at her. "You okay?" She nodded. "I was ready to fight, but I'm glad I didn't have to." He gave her a soft smile. "You didn't have to fight, you just had to speak." She leaned closer. "Jason, when I said I chose you, that wasn't just instinct, it was something deeper, something I didn't know I had, until you looked at me like I mattered." Jason's hand reached for hers. "I don't know what tomorrow brings, but if you'll have Mile, face it with you." And as the servers behind them blinked, and the base returned to normal, one thing was now certain: she had chosen the human, and the human had chosen her right back. The alarms had stopped. The red lights faded back to white. The doors were unlocked again, but the world outside still watched her. Sayla stood in the open courtyard of the military base. Surrounded by humans who had once feared her, now they stood back, not because they still saw her as a threat, but because they didn't know how to face what they had to name mistake. That's how it all began. One wrong sip from the wrong bottle, and her whole life changed. But what they didn't expect was that the serum wouldn't just twist her mind, it would awaken her soul, and it was a human who saw that soul. First, Jason stood at her side. No longer in uniform, he had turned in his badge, resigned from his post, and chosen to stay with her, no matter the consequences, and he didn't regret it. Not for a second. A voice echoed through the base's loudspeakers. "This is Central Command. All charges against Corporal Jason Marek have been dropped. Sayla of Valari is officially recognized as a diplomatic guest. No further action will be taken." Jason exhaled deeply. "It's done there, letting us go." Sayla turned her head toward him. "They still look at me like I'm dangerous, like they're waiting for something to go wrong." Jason gave a small smile. "Maybe, but that doesn't mean they're right. You're not. What happened to you? You're who you choose to be now." She looked down at her hands. They no longer glowed. The serum's light was gone, but something inside her still burned gently. Not a fire of chaos, but something warm, something alive. "I want to leave this place," she said softly. "Not because I'm afraid, but because I want to live as myself. Somewhere they don't stare at me like I'm broken." Jason nodded. "I've already made arrangements. There's a colony out near the edge of Sector 9, peaceful, quiet, full of people who don't ask questions. We can go there, start fresh." Sayla tilted her head. "We?" He stepped closer. "Yes, if you'll have me, not because you bonded to me, not because of the serum, but because you want me as I am." She reached out and touched his cheek, her fingers soft, her eyes clear. "I do want you, and not because of a drug, because you held me when I was shaking, because you stood between me and their guns, because you saw me, not the threat, not the mistake, but me." Jason placed his hand over hers. "Then we leave together." As the sun set behind the towers of the base, a quiet ship waited at the far landing pad. No military escorts, no guards, just 2 seats and a new path ahead. They walked toward it side by side. Sayla paused for a moment and looked back. "I'll never forget this place, even if it hurt, because it gave me you, Jason smiled, and you gave me something I didn't even know I was missing. She raised an eyebrow. Oh? And what was that? He chuckled. A reason to fight again. A reason to believe in someone, not a mission, not a protocol, a person. They entered the ship. The door closed behind them with a soft hum. The engines rumbled to life, slow and steady, as the ship lifted into the sky. Selah leaned her head against his shoulder. I used to think I was alone in the universe, she whispered, but somehow one human changed everything. Jason looked down at her. No, you changed yourself. I just stood close enough so you wouldn't fall. Silence filled the cabin, but it wasn't heavy or painful. It was peaceful, full of unspoken truth. The serum had changed her. Yes, it had shaken her, scared her. Awakened instincts she never knew existed, but in the end didn't own her. She chose. She stood and she walked out free, not because they gave her freedom, but because she claimed it with her head held high and the human who believed in her by her side.